Okay. Going to call to order this regular meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission of the Town of Clarkdale, Tuesday, January 3rd at 6:30 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for coming. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Gabbard.
Here.
Commissioner Loesch.
Present.
Commissioner Lindner.
Present.
Commissioner Emmett.
Here.
And Chair Gibson.
Present. Thank you. The next order of business is public comment. The Historic Preservation Commission invites the public to provide comments at this time. Members of the Historic Preservation Commission may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to the statute, action taken as a result of public comment will be limiting to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for future consideration and decision at a later date. Persons interested in making comments on a specific agenda item are asked to complete a brief form and submit it to the clerk or liaison during the meeting. Each speaker is asked to limit their comments to 5 minutes. Is there anybody present that would wish to address the commission at this time? Being none. Okay, moving on to the approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting held on November 1st, 2022.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a 5-0. Thank you, commissioners. The next item of business is the staff reports and Ruth Mayday.
Good evening, Chair Gibson and Commissioners, and welcome to members of the public. Tonight, I'm just going to give a click through a list of staff reports that members have requested, just so we can get updated on a couple of projects. First is the Broadway Improvement District, Broadway Road Improvement District. Phase 1 improvements are complete, so what you see is what's going to be done there work-wise. Phase 2 is currently in design, and that is being slowed down because we have some erosion problems along the second half due to the topography that we're going to have to be dealing with. So that's going to take us a little bit longer to get that one through design. With respect to the Tawaki Inn, we have site plan review underway. We've been working with the architect for the project. They've been very responsive. Tom has been working with them at least weekly. We have communication with them on that project. So we expect that one to be moving along quite well. We expect site plan to be approved in the next couple of months, and then get some construction and building plans underway. So when we talk about those sorts of building plans are obviously for the building. Construction or improvement plans are the civil improvements, water, sewer, roads, those sorts of things that are always submitted with a project of this size for review, to make sure that traffic is accommodated, that there's adequate water supply to the site, it's adequate septic, all of those kinds of things. So those are the plans that we'll be getting next in review.
Do you have an estimated date of breaking ground?
No, not at this point, no. The newsstand, newsstand is continuing with their demo permit to do demolition on the inside and some cleanup. And we will expect to see some more specific construction plans in the very near future from them. The plateau update, we anticipate approval of the final plat on January 24th of this month. We have the CC&Rs in, those came in on December 30th. So I've reviewed those. They do have the language that we requested regarding the short-term rentals. And also regarding the perpetual maintenance of the streets and roads within the project, because they are common area. Those will be maintained by the HOA. So we have building plans in from them and civils as well. So the civils are under review right now with our reviewing consultant. So we expect to get those resolved here fairly quickly and get construction We're hoping that they can break ground in April so that they can get the gas line relocated that runs smack through the middle of the property. And then finally, the joint meeting with the town council is tentatively also scheduled on January 24th. It's up to the board and commission if you want to proceed with that date or if you would like to postpone it to another date.
Commissioner? What are your, go ahead. Any thoughts on the 24th?
I will be out of town.
Yeah, and I was just thinking more the regular council meetings at 6, the first council meeting instead of the second one.
Okay, we would have to do the first meeting in February.
Probably have to go for February, right? This is already January.
That's 2 out of 5. How did the other 2 commissioners?
I can't attend in person, but I could attend virtually if that was an option.
That's fine.
Okay.
So February then?
February works.
All right,
For-
then
I mean,
February
too.
it is.
Okay.
Anything else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, with regard to the Broadway Road improvement updates,
Mhm.
I think the Historic Preservation Commission has a real interest in being involved with the planning of that, rather than having that presented to us once it's all been designed, and then not having an opportunity to make the comments. Back when phase 1 was under review, there was discussion about phase 2, locating the walking path as far away as possible from the main road,
Mhm.
in the 200-foot right of way where possible near the Loose Lodge. That is not only for enjoyment of the walkers, which I am one, but it's also safety, and it's also for the historic view of that roadway. That's the last remaining piece of 89A that hasn't been widened and diminished. And there's a photo that the town has that I had lent them at one point in time. It was taken in the 50s or early 60s of a couple standing right there in front of the town limit sign. And that provides you the historic view. And I think, at least speaking for myself, would like to make sure that as much as possible that view shed remains as close to that as possible with the road work that's going to be done. It's my understanding, and also maybe you can confirm this, that this was supposed to be a 2023 project, coinciding with Cottonwood repaving their roadways all the way from Safeway to their town limits. And for those of you who may or may not have noticed, Cottonwood, or the developer, they're cutting in the Grosseto Ranch Road into Broadway, right there near their monument sign.
Okay.
So there's going to be a little bit of a change there, but that's, before you get to our town limits. But just overall comment, we have an interest in that, so we would like to be included in the planning.
So when you mentioned doing, I understand the sidewalk and the setbacks, but the view shed, what exactly are you planning to include in, or intending to include in the view shed?
Well, just trying to make sure that we know, based on your comments about the erosion and the fact that those culverts are where they are, and the last time they did the construction, they actually had to shift the roadway a couple of feet, which is something that can be done without necessarily adding a lot of other modern
Gotcha.
intrusions to the view shed. So the idea is to, when you come out of Old Town Cottonwood and you enter that straightaway, that you still have the illusion of a somewhat narrow road from the 1940s to coincide with, the historic 89A designation.
Right, and the slower speed limit too posted there now.
I think the speed limit there is 35 for most of it.
Yeah.
Used to be 50.
Right, and if sidewalks appear, it'll probably slow down even more. But the sidewalk issue that you're talking about is one of the things that we're trying to design around, because the way it is right now, we're trying to keep it from people having to cross Broadway. to go from sidewalk to sidewalk. And that's,
Mm,
this second part is gonna be a much bigger design challenge.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other commissioners? Commissioner Emmett?
It was brought to my attention, by a friend of mine, about the Tawaki Inn update. Is there a wash that is close to this property that has been, I don't know, addressed?
I don't know that there's a 404 wash that the Army Corps regulates. But there are washes and draws in that area. But I don't think that this project cannot impact those. By state law, any drainage, so any changes to that site that happen, we have what we call pre and post development flows. So they know what the pre-development flows are. When they're done with the development, the post-development flows off that site can't exceed the pre-development flows. So there should be no impact to the surrounding washes.
Okay,
So there will be on-site detention and that water will be metered off.
so that's in place.
Yes. That we, all construction has
That
to,
was my question.
right,
Right.
we have to account for pre and post flows. And that's part of the civil review.
Okay.
What's good up, Torb? Are you done?
Huh?
Did you have anything? What was the date on that February town council meeting? Just so we've all got it in our.
I think it's the 8th.
Is it the 8th?
Let me double check.
February 14th.
Oh,
Oh, statehood
don't
day.
bring cookies. Okay, all right. Thank you. I don't have anything else. Anybody else?
Can I just ask what the purpose would be of having a joint meeting?
The town council likes to have a joint meeting every year with all the boards and commissions. Just to talk about what you've done in the past year, what your plans are for the upcoming year, any issues that you're having, things that you want to talk to them about.
Oh.
That sort of thing.
So it's just basically an opportunity.
I think
Okay.
it's actually in our statute that we're supposed to produce an annual report, and so that's basically
That's the
the annual report.
Okay.
Okay. Right, Ruth, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is a discussion item only, no action is going to be taken. We are launching now into the historic preservation ordinance update.
Yay. So finally, we have identified a consultant for the historic preservation ordinance, Mr. John Froke. Mr. Froke was heavily involved in the historic preservation activities in Glendale as their historic preservation officer. He has a great deal of planning experience, having served also as their community development director. So I look forward to working with him. He is very excited about this project. We've already met and talked about a basic outline about stakeholder meetings and things like that. So I think you're going to be pleased with kicking this off and getting this underway. So John, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Don, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Ruth, thank you for that introduction. Members of the Historic Preservation Commission, we're really pleased to be joining you virtually. We'll be with you in person in just a few weeks' time, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Like Ruth said, we're real excited. We're a small firm down here in Phoenix, Glendale. My business partner and son is with me. He's going to help me out. His name's Adam, and he actually works in Rochester, Minnesota. So he's in a little cooler climate than the rest of us are. So
Plains is pallor too.
yeah, for sure. Like Ruth said, we're real excited to be helping you out. A little bit about Ruth's already given a nice introduction about us. We're a small firm. We just finished up a we spent most of last year working in Yavapai County, helping out Yavapai County on a contract basis. What was supposed to be a 3-month project became 7 months. They hired us to in January to help out with planning and zoning services, and a lot of that work was remote, but I did make quite a few trips up to either Cottonwood or Prescott or other parts of Yavapai County. And although I live in Glendale, I do own a couple acres in Yavapai County, just on a personal note, trying to figure out what to do with that property up in the Paulden Chino Valley area. So been around Arizona for a long time, really excited to be working with Clarkdale. And I don't know if Tom could advance. We have just a few slides to go through if the PowerPoint is available for the commission to take a look at.
Can you share screen?
Do you have it up to share on your screen by chance?
Yeah, I can share a screen.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Let me see if I can.
Oh,
Do this right.
Lost it.
You had it up a moment ago?
There we go.
We can see it.
Yes.
needs to get into play
If you
slideshow
just
there.
hit slideshow there on the top, John,
There too.
keep going. Stop. Whoop, back up, there.
Slideshow. There you go.
And just hit from beginning, up one. There you go. All there. Ta-da.
You're muted as well, John.
You muted, John?
Sorry about that.
There we go.
Okay.
So we just have a few slides to go over. Again, Adam and I will be assisting you with, and the town with creating an ordinance. We've got experience with that in other parts of Arizona. You know, we like working on communities throughout the state, not just, you know, Metro Phoenix. And we also are helping out Navajo County on a couple of things, not on the historic preservation front. So we're real excited to be starting this project off. Like Bruce said, I'll advance to the next slide. Adam, can you kind of go through, I think this is from our scope of services. Do you want to speak to that real quick?
Yeah, so our scope of services outlined really 8 things that the Historic Preservation Ordinance was looking to achieve, and we've listed some of them here, some of the higher level items here. So really we're looking at a specific area of historic downtown Clarkdale. Let me pull up the project site here. So it's going to encompass 30 potential 30 commercial sites in downtown Clarkdale. The northern boundary is First North Street. The eastern boundary is Broadway. Southern boundary is First South Street, and the western boundary is South 11th Street. So that's really going to be the area that the HPO is looking at. And John, if you can go back one slide.
Yep.
So that's what that first check mark is looking at, is just the project area. The historic preservation ordinance is going to include visual components to supplement the text that we're going to be drafting. We're going to outline a review of both approval, denial, and approval and denial processes for certificates of appropriateness. And then we're also going to be including the recognition of the Clarkdale Historic Survey that was done in 1989 as the historic property registry for the HPO. And there are a few other things that are more document related that we can speak to if needed. But that's really the gist of what the HPO is going to be achieving here.
So here's the map that Adam referenced, and when I was up in Clarkdale just a few weeks ago with Ruth and Tom and Gus, we got a little bit of a lay of the land with just some of the, actually got to meet a few of the stakeholders when I was up there on a Tuesday afternoon. So we'll work with town staff on, what are important to the town and to our stakeholders in the Old Town area. Just a quick schedule. So I was up there for an afternoon on December 13th. Finally got to meet Ruth and her staff. Like I said, we did a quick downtown walking tour. Beautiful day. Got some snow on the way up in the Prescott area, and we got a few snow flurries when I was up there. So it was for me, it was a nice change. We're here tonight on January 3rd with our initial meeting with you. And we're looking at coming up there and being with you in person at your February 7th meeting. And I'll work out all the details with Ruth and Tom and Gus. We're hoping to meet with some stakeholders maybe that afternoon of the 7th, and then actually be there in person with you for the next HPC meeting. We've got a couple of ideas on what ordinance format might look like. We don't have a lot of detail for you tonight, but one of the things that we pride ourselves on is trying to find solutions that work for our client, in this case you, the town. And we need all the input and help that we can get in terms of what's important to the merchants, to the property owners, to the business owners. And we hope to be getting in that type of input aside from what we got last month, hopefully doing that in early February. So overall, it's not on the slide here. We think that we can get the project done within the next 6 months. We feel like there's some room in there if we need to adjust the schedule in any way. We're the way our firm is set up, we like to consider ourselves nimble, that we can move around and accommodate schedules and move things to fit in with what's important to the town. So that's really it. We'll take in any comments or questions or input that you have tonight. But other than that, we'll look to being up there in person with you in just a few weeks.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you.
Adam, did you have anything else to share?
Nope, I think John covered it pretty well.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Commissioner Emmett, do you have any questions for our consultants?
So we're looking at a 6-month project, is that correct?
That's what they're indicating. Yeah.
Yes.
And this addresses just the downtown business area. Right?
Correct.
I just.
Just that map
Yep, right, got it. Okay.
inside the
That-
green
that's
line
my-
there. Right.
That's my only clarification.
So, and the blue area, that is that historic downtown district area?
No, the blue area is an overlapping, we have a couple of districts overlapping downtown, and so the blue is part of the downtown, the Central Business District zoning district. And the green is what we're looking at for the historic district.
Right, I just want to make that clear. Okay. Commissioner.
Could you talk a little more about the visual components that you mentioned in the first slide?
Yeah, thank you. Going through the chair, commission members, we don't just want a document that is a bunch of words or a bunch of text like Adam was mentioning. When I was up there last month, the town has some really good mapping. We'd like to drop some maps into the ordinance itself. And we'll include that in our visual materials when we get a little bit deeper into the project. We want the finished product to be something that the end user can pick up and read and be able to understand what the ordinance is and what it isn't. And one thing that we're exploring relative to our experience elsewhere in Arizona is about 15 years ago, Arizona voters passed a proposition known as Prop 207 or Proposition 207. And it's in a nutshell, it's a requirement that whether it's a county, a city, or a town, we're trying to avoid takings, if you will. Arizona is typically known as a private property rights state, and so we don't want a situation where our stakeholders are concerned with hey, what is this ordinance? What is it going to do to my livelihood? What's it going to do to my property values? And so we'll fashion the ordinance, the text, and some visuals, like I said, where we feel it, and we'll need some help from making sure the town attorney is comfortable with what we're doing, so we don't end up with a situation where somebody feels like they're basically Prop 207 says that a governmental entity cannot diminish the value of a property by some action that the governmental agency is taking. And so in my experience down here, when I was the community development director and historic preservation officer for Glendale, at the time, Glendale never had a Prop 207, what's known as a Prop 207 claim, where an owner or a business entity felt like whatever Glendale was doing down here was going to be diminishing the value of their property. So I think the finished product will have, it'll have a lot of text, but it will have some visual components, probably some photographs, obviously some maps. And we'll work closely with the town staff to make sure that we've got the right boundaries that are appropriate for the ordinance and fits in with existing codes and ordinances that are already, or districts that are already in place in Clarkdale.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Linder.
Sorry to be a little wordy. I was trying to answer the question, but we like I said, we're sensitive to our clients' needs, and we feel like we are good listeners when it comes to looking at all sides of an issue, whether it's the town's interests or maybe a downtown property owner's interests or a business owner. So we try to be sensitive to that.
I think the commission appreciates your sensitivity to those more thornier issues.
Thank you.
Commissioner Linder, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Loesch.
I have none.
Hey, I don't have any specific questions myself. If the public has any questions, they could note them and leave them with the staff, and we get them answered, so the answers could be lined up for you for the next meeting. We're not at liberty to open the meeting up at this point. But you can leave the questions with the staff and we'll get it, you'll have it ready for you at the next meeting.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't have any more on that then. Thank you, John and Adam. We'll see you February 7th.
Looking forward to it. We appreciate your time tonight, everything that you do serving the town, and we'll see you in person in a few weeks.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to item 7 then, unless there's anybody commission discussion on this item. Okay, let's move on to item 7, future agenda items. The staff brought it to my attention that we need to, now that we have a full commission again, and it's the beginning of the year, we need to have officer elections. So we need to elect the chair and the vice chair at the next meeting. That's the first item of business. And do we have any other items besides our standing date with our ordinance contractors? Okay, I think that'll do it then. And if there's nothing else by any of the commissioners, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion to adjourn the meeting.
Commissioner Linder, thank
I'll
you.
second.
Commissioner Lars, thank you. Is there any discussion on the adjournment? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, commissioners. Thank you very much, everybody.